This world, it's endless, alive. Every step feels like you're part of something bigger. The streets, the people, the sun, it all just breathes. Origins wasn't made overnight. It had time to craft every corner, every shadow, every detail. And you can feel that in every stone, in every step. Look at this world, every building, every horizon, every grain of sand, it's alive. This isn't just a level, it's a world waiting to be explored. And now, one question still remains: who will Bayek become? Before any story of blades or greed, there was a life, a man, a home and a son. Then a single event changed everything. It didn't happen on a battlefield, it happened in a moment where nothing heroic could stop it. The wound that followed was invisible. It settled, it shaped. Quiet as a first, then obsolete. People called the response brutal. They called the hunters monsters. Words, judgment from the people who didn't feel the hollow left behind. But when the masks drop and names are learned, consequences look different. It begins small, a choice, a strike, a line crossed. And that line was crossed not for glory, not for hate, for balance, for a promise that could not be left unanswered. This is where the hunt will begin, not with triumph, with choice, but the choice and what it becomes. The story starts now. Alright, so at this point of the story, Bayek starts realizing that the problem isn't just a couple of bad people. There's actually a whole group behind everything, the Order of the Ancients. These guys, let's just say they basically control Egypt without anyone knowing. They just stay in the shadows, they move pieces around, they pay off officials, they use religion, politics, whatever they need just to stay in power. And the worst part, most people have no clue they even exist. Bayek's whole life got destroyed because of them, not by accident, not wrong place, wrong time, no. It was planned. And the more Bayek looks into it, the more he understands that this goes way deeper than just one person or one mistake. And this is where I actually started enjoying the story a lot more, because Bayek goes from I want revenge to okay, this is bigger than me. You take one of them out and suddenly another one pops up. It's like cutting off one head and two more grow back. And honestly, seeing Bayek uncover piece by piece who really behind everything, it just makes the whole journey feels more meaningful. So, while Bayek is out here taking down masked weirdos one by one, the story suddenly gets a lot bigger, because this is when Cleopatra enters the picture. And look, Cleopatra isn't just dropped into the story for Egypt vibes, no. She comes with the whole agenda. She lost her throne, she is basically on the run, and she needs help getting her power back. And when she looks at Bayek, yeah, she seems someone who can do the dirty work for her. But the thing is, she plays it smart though. She doesn't force anything, she lets Bayek believe that helping her will also help him get closer to the people behind his son's death. And to be fair, she's not lying. The order is tied to the royal family, the politics, everything happening in Egypt at that moment. So working with her actually makes sense, for now. But one thing, this is where the story shifts, because it stops being just a personal revenge journey and suddenly becomes political. You're no longer hunting just for Bayek justice. Now you're dealing with pharaohs, power, the future of Egypt, and two siblings fighting for a throne. And Cleopatra, she knows exactly how to make people follow her. She's charismatic, confident, and she has that I know something you don't energy. But don't get it twisted, she's not doing any of this for free. She's helping Bayek as long as it helps her too. So now, instead of going after random mass people, you're suddenly dealing with leaders, generals, priests, people who actually control the country. The targets become more important and the consequences got a lot bigger. So, after Cleopatra shows up, this is where the story kinda shifts into a different lane. Up until now, Bayek's been doing his own thing, hunting down these mass weirdos by one, following clues, stabbing the next target, you know the routine. But her, she walks in and suddenly it's not that simple anymore, because she doesn't give the Bayek information for free. She's like, you want the names? Cool, but you're gonna help me first. And the thing is, Bayek actually needs her. She's connected, she knows people, she has the access to the kind of information he could never get by himself. The people responsible for what happened to his son are random thugs anymore. They're basically sitting at the top of Egypt. So now, instead of just tracking down one target in the desert or a village, you're getting pulled into this whole political mess. Cleopatra wants her throne back, the other is backing her brother, and Bayek is basically stuck right in the middle, whether he wants it or not. And as soon as she gets involved, the story becomes way bigger than just revenge. You're suddenly dealing with royalties, generals, priests, and people that actually control the country. You go to Alexandria, you see how the rich live. You start noticing how much corruption there is, and how deep the order influence goes. Cleopatra sends spies here, then there, then to talk to someone, then to deal with the problem, and before you even realize it, she's the one who's deciding by the next steps, not him. He's still chasing the same goal, but now he has to play by her rules. The crazy part, this goes from personal revenge to national politics real quick. One moment it's about his son. The next, he's influencing who rules Egypt. That's a whole different level. When Origins arrived, the combat didn't just change, it triggered one of the biggest identity debates in Assassin's Creed history. For a decade, AC players were used to that cinematic combat ballet style. Piano, kill, chain, repeat, smooth, stylish, and undeniably Assassin's Creed. Then Origins walked in and said, no more autopilot combat, if you want to survive, you actually have to learn how to fight. Some fans applauded the evolution, finally, depth. Others saw it as a Ubisoft abandoning what made AC in the first place. Because this wasn't just a new combat system, it was a statement. Assassin's Creed was no longer a pure stealth action series, it was stepping into the RPG territory. And whether you agreed or not, that shift reshaped every Assassin's Creed game that came after. Then came the XP, levels, gear, and skill trees, the moment the community officially split into two nations. A modern system that finally rewarded experimentation and let you build your own playstyle. For others, it felt like Ubisoft walked up into the hidden blade and said, your silent killings days are over, here are rarity tires and damage numbers now. And suddenly, a guard 5 level above you wasn't a challenge, he was immortal by game design. The hidden blade, by symbol of the creed, was no longer a guaranteed kill unless you earned it with upgrades. Whether that was innovative or sacrilege depends on who you ask. But one thing was undeniable, Origins didn't just add RPG mechanics, it changed the philosophy of the series. It moved Assassin's Creed from a historical stealth franchise into a mainstream open-world RPG, opening the door for Odyssey and Valhalla, for better or for worse. Now, look, I won't pretend the new weapons weren't fun, spears, the heavy blades, the bows, and different firing types. On paper that sounds like variety. But here's the issue, Assassin's Creed wasn't built around being a warrior, it was built around being a hidden, precise, surgical assassin. But Origins gave you dozens of weapons to experiment with, but it also pulled you further away from the core fantasy of being an assassin. So now instead of studying the target, infiltrating quietly, and eliminating the one clean strike, the game slowly nudged you into arena-style combat, boss fights, and grinding gear like it was the Witcher 3 Egyptian DLC edition. And yes, even if you play stealth, the game system clearly favored open combat. Enemies scaled with you, better loot came from fighting, not assassinating. Bosses were designed for RPG combat, not stealth mastery. And while Origins said, play whatever you want, the meta sadly said, pick the strongest weapon and fight your way through. And that's where many old fans felt the series lost its soul, because being able to swap between 14 weapons type is cool, but it blurred the identity of Assassin's Creed to the point where people joked, why am I negotiating fights like Dark Souls mini bosses in Assassin's Creed game? And to be honest, even with all the new RPG stuff, the combat in Origins is actually pretty clean and straightforward, it doesn't overcomplicate things. You get your weapon, you upgrade, you pick the style you like, and you're good to go. Plus, the shield and parry system, it generally gave combat a bit of personality. Blocking an attack, waiting for that perfect moment, and then pushing with the counter. It just felt right. Well, unless you were using a weapon that didn't let you parry, then good luck. And for this critical blend, one thing became very clear the moment I played. Origins didn't remove stealth, it just stopped valuing it. In the other games, stealth wasn't just an option, it was the point. You planned, observed patrols, blend with crowds, caused distractions, and waited for the perfect moment. But in Origins, stealth feels more like a side dish. Yeah, you can crouch in the bush and do assassinations, but they can rarely reward you for actually staying undetected. Because here's the problem. If your hidden blade doesn't one-shot an enemy, and the guard survives your stealth kill, congratulations, you just unlocked a full camp brawl with 12 soldiers and flaming alarm towers. And by design, the game slowly pushed players into the open combat because enemies scaled with your level, assassinations weren't guaranteeing kills, combat XP and gear were more important than stealth XP in silent play, and main bosses were literally unstealthable fights. So what do most players do? They start stealthy, get detected once, sight, pull out the spear, and suddenly they are Kratos in Egypt. But remember this, stealth didn't vanish, it just stopped being the smartest way to play. Meanwhile, combat stepped into the spotlight with the flashy dodges, parries, and hit combos, and weapons that made fighting feel more exciting than sneaking, even if that meant assassin fantasy got diluted. One thing I really appreciate about Assassin's Creed Origins is how easy is it to lose yourself in the world without even trying. Not because the game forces you to explore, but because everything feels inviting. You move from one area to another and the change in atmosphere just pulls you in. When you're out in the countryside, it's peaceful, small villages, farmer working, kids running around, just normal life happening, nothing crazy, nothing dramatic. It feels grounded, almost familiar even though it's ancient Egypt. Then out of nowhere, you might come across a temple, a tomb, or some ruins, and it's like the world reminds you of how old and full of history everything is. Travel further and the landscape switch again. You get these long stretches of desert where you're basically alone with the sound of the wind and sand hitting your clothes. And weirdly enough, it doesn't feel empty, it feels calm. The game gives you space just to ride, think, or enjoy the moment without needing constant action. What I love about this world is the fact that it isn't trying to entertain you 24/7. Some areas are slow, quiet, almost empty, and that's what makes the world feel believable. Not every corner needs a side quest or a fight waiting for you. Two silent moments actually make Egypt feel more real. And then you reach Alexandria. Suddenly, the energy changes. It's busy, loud, full of movement and people. Boats coming in, markets yelling over each other, guards marching, scholars debating like it's sport. The architecture, the streets, the culture, it all feels richer and more connected to the outside world. It's a place that doesn't stop just because you walk into it. And exploring is slowly, on foot, especially at night with the lamps lit, it just hits differently. So yeah, after spending time in the world again, I remember why Assassin's Creed games left such a strong impression on me. It doesn't rush you, it doesn't overwhelm you, it just lets you live in. Some games try too hard to constantly throw things at you, but Origins understands that value of slowing things, letting you breathe, letting your moment stay with you. You can be running through a quiet village standing on top of a temple, or just walking through Alexandria like this, and it all feels meaningful in its own way, not because the game forces emotion, but because it gives you space to feel it in your own way. The story, the world, the journey Bayek goes through, it all just fits. It might not be perfect, sure, but there's the heart of this game that hits me differently compared to the others. There's weight, warmth, and sense of discovery that just stays with you. And to be honest, this is why I think Assassin's Creed Origins is the best in series, or maybe one of the best. Not because it's the newest, not because it changed the formula, but because it's how it made me feel while playing it again. It reminded me why I care about the franchise in the first place. And to remind you, thank you so much for watching, and leave a comment if you liked the video, leave a sub, anything. Everything's appreciated. GG.